Ladies and gentlemen, and drag racing fans across the world, welcome to episode 103 of Between the Slicks here on the Monday Morning Racer YouTube and Facebook channels. My name is Darren Williams Jr. We're going to bring on the Monday Morning Racer Lee Craft in just a second, but we got a packed show for you guys here tonight. We'll be joined by the Fresh Prince of Top Fuel Eliminator, Mr. Will Smith. We got to talk about funny car chaos in Kearney, Nebraska. Is it Kearney or Kearney, Nebraska? Not sure. Lee will fill us in on that in just a little bit. And also, we got a preview Topeka coming up this weekend for the NHRA Camping World Drag Racing Series. So I'm done yapping. Let's bring them on. Let's bring on your host, the Monday Morning Racer. Lee, what's up, man?
Man, Darren, I'm doing great. Thank you, as always, for assisting on these mobile shows. It helps me out tremendously. Like last night, I did Chaos Live from my phone, and I'm like, bleep. All right, hang on, everybody. Bleep. Oh, there it is. So it can be challenging at times on the phone. It is amazing, though, that StreamYard allows you to do a live show from your phone, though. It is amazing. What took, a myriad of equipment and like a production team, it can now be done on your cell phone. Yes. And a lot of people have been fired because of it. So it's a good and bad thing at the same time. But it's allowed people like me to yak it up and create their own little place in the drag racing media world. And you too, folks, you got to follow this dude, American Hot Rod Entertainment, at that place, American Hot Rod Entertainment, on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and yes, you can even follow him on Twitter. He's got some great content, and especially look forward to his review of the national event coming up this very weekend at Topeka, Kansas, Heartland Motorsports Park. So, Darren, I am somewhere in North Dakota. My phone says it's Steele, North Dakota. I've got to make like Sioux Falls tonight if I can. It helps me out getting to Topeka tomorrow for the national event, helping out Doug Foley and Buddy Hull with social media there, whoever else I might be able to pick up. But, dude, Nitro is like 7:30 tomorrow night.
Yes.
One's Top Fuel very well might be at night.
No, for sure. And you think about it, Topeka is a bad, fast racetrack. You think about the history of Topeka all through the years. We've seen records shattered at Topeka, but the only thing, though, this weekend, we're looking at 95 to 100-degree weather in Topeka, Kansas. It's going to be brutal hot in Topeka.
It is, and honestly, it's going to remind me of this past weekend condition-wise at, yes, it is Kearney, like Kearney. And okay. I was corrected. And I went and then did some research, and then I had someone pop off on my video of Wayne Hoffman and his trials there. I mean, what amazing dedication by Wayne Hoffman to the point of making that turnaround, cobbling together a crew, putting a new engine in, going out there, running fast and quick beyond the index and dropping because of heat exhaustion to do that funny car chaos thing. Well, I had an individual. Let me say this. If you're going to correct somebody, know you're right. Know that you are right before you go correct somebody. And if you don't think you're right, don't give no smart aleck remark or drop a smart aleck comment, especially towards me, that I'm going to bust you. And I'm going to come right back with the energy you gave. And this dude's like, it is Kearney, and he actually spelled it like K-A-R, not Kearney, which is how it's spelled. It does look weird. Yes, I agree. I get it. But he's like, don't you read your script? I dropped a YouTube video on this dude from the mayor of Kearney saying Kearney, and I dropped the actual visit Kearney.org, and it says, how do you pronounce Kearney? And it's C-A-R-Knee, K-N-E-E. I'm like, I hope you can read her website, dude. It is Kearney. Lesson for everybody out there. Know if you know, and if you don't know, just shut up.
That's what I was wondering. I was like, is it Kearney or Kearney? So the correct pronunciation is Kearney, Nebraska. It's Kearney.
Yes, I get it. It's Kearney. Weird, but the weirdest one, I think, in the United States of America, and people can chime in and be like, oh, I know a weird one. Outside of Rochester, New York, there is a town that is spelled Chili. What does that spell, Darren? Chili. How would we say that?
Chili.
Chili, like what you put in a bowl, or the Chili Bowl Nationals, right?
Yeah. Chili.
No. It is this suburb outside of Rochester, New York. It is Chili.
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 Fancy, huh? Chili.
Yes. Chili. So yes, and look, when you go anywhere, you got to try to figure out like what are the locals saying, because you don't want to sound like a doofus, and you don't want people get mad at stuff like that. Like, for example, it is not Enos, it's Ennis. It's not Enos, it's Ennis.
It's Ennis, Texas, not Enos.
Yeah, there's a slight. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
okay. I've always said Ennis, but my grandmother, when she was talking, she would say Enos. So I guess it's Enos, Texas, but it is Ennis, Texas. Her next pronunciation is Ennis, Texas.
Tomato, like you said, Joe Amato. So, I mean,
Tomato, Joe Amato. Hey, this is not related whatsoever, but you know the saying is actually nip it in the bud, not nip it in the butt?
Right, because it's talking about like a bud of a flower. Nip it in the bud. Yes. Which would like be deadheading or something like that before it ever blooms, or you see, and most of the time the connotation is causing a problem before it ever blooms to cause a problem. Bloop, you nipped it.
Yes,
yeah.
There you go.
It's not nipped in the butt. I mean, if you're nipping in the butt, there's other stuff going on, or you shouldn't be doing that.
Pause. Let's move on. Let's talk drag racing.
Let's move on. We got a great guest on tonight, Will Smith. As I like to say, he's the Fresh Prince of drag air, especially with that Harada machine he had. He was in last year with the 80s, kind of early 90s theme. But he is no stranger to fast drag racing vehicles. The marketing director for the PDRA, he has been in pro mods. Even this year, he's in a pro mod, a nitrous-assisted pro mod. And he has won often in the A fuel ranks. Well, he got his NHRA license in Top Fuel and Larry Dixon's ride up there at US 131 Dragway. And we are going to chat with him tonight, and I'm looking forward to it. Continuing the theme here, Darren, of Between the Slicks kind of being the first show someone's got to come on after getting their license. I really like that because it makes people that I won't name in the upper echelons of the media world have to come to my little podunk show and get their gleanings of their research for when they want to go interview people.
And so I just dropped out for a second, so I don't know if you said it, but I said at the beginning of the show, the Fresh Prince of Top Fuel. I think we have to reference him as that, right? The Fresh Prince.
I like that. I like that. We'll see if that continues. One great thing about Will loves the history of the sport.
Yes.
And it's going to be interesting to see what he's got in the works later on with whatever he has got plans to actually run, because I know there are plans. So looking forward to getting all of the down low from him and what he went through in the licensing. And I find it interesting. This is a Larry Dixon Top Fueler that he licensed in. I mean, that's interesting in and of itself. And I'm sure people are like, huh, what? I mean, we knew about the 2-seater, but yeah, he still had that 1-seater. And what are the implications there as well? So there's a lot we got to talk with Will about, from PDRA to NHRA, all that he's done and all that he wants to get done in drag racing. Well, Darren, look, how about you hit that drag racing news video and we dive into some drag racing news?
Let's do it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, for drag racing news, we're going to start from the event that I most recently covered. That is Funny Car Chaos at Kearney, Nebraska, and it was a hot one. It was a scorcher, but that heat, those hot conditions produced some great racing at a great little facility. I do want to give props to Kearney Raceway Park. Darren, they did something really cool. They used this big event and they got all the kids together and they did a coloring contest to win a bike. And like a couple of kids went home with a bike participating in the coloring contest, and they colored in drag cars. And yes, I did go over there in color, and I asked if I could win a bike, but they said I couldn't. So I think there's some age discrimination there. But yes, I colored in a funny car. Imagine that I was at a funny car chaos race. I colored in a funny car and wrote chaos on it. And then I found a nice young lady to give it to, and I gave it to Jeanette over there at Car Chicks, and it's in her trailer now and cherished. So, yeah, there's that. But hot conditions, cool things going on with the kids, great action on the track. And we see people come out doing the chaos thing, and there being a bit of chaos, and we have new people come to the forefront and win. Jeff Cameron in the A field, first time ever winning in the A field in the Jake's Speed Shop funny car. He gets it done for Maxima Racing Oils and for his whole entire crew. He'd been trying to get this done all year, and he finally gets it done. I asked him in the interview, man, what did you shoot that monkey with? Because it's finally off your back. And in Jeff's style, he's like, a 9mm. So
I saw that.
Jeff gets the win. Jeff gets the win in the A field, and then in the B field, David Hill. First time that he has won in chaos competition. He's been to chaos before, but he's won. He is now a winner. He's part of the fraternity. He wins in the Alky Digger B field. He hails from Nebraska, and the video just came out today of the recap of his win. You can see it on Funny Car Chaos on the Facebook page, and he actually provided us some GoPro footage. It's always fascinating to go inside the cockpit with these funny car drivers, especially the alcohol drivers, because they've got to bring it up to such high RPMs, and then they let go and they're off. And the one at night, I'm like, dude, how did you know where you're going? It is just insane from the GoPro footage, in my opinion. But congratulations to David Hill. And then the Seafield winner, Mike Buchanan, in the Hombre tribute car. He gets it done. His second win of the year, in fact, and second win of his career in funny car, in fact. And this is a man that was saying earlier in the year he only dreamed of actually being in the final, much less winning. He's a 60-plus-year-old man out there going and getting it done in drag racing and in a funny car. And Darren, that is what Chris Graves and Tara Graves, they've created. They've created a place where if you've dreamed of winning in a funny car, you can go do it, yet you don't have to be the fastest funny car in the world. And that's pretty cool, I think.
And you even go back to last weekend, Tim Cullinan, he drives dragsters all the times, but he brings out a funny car. The funny car basically never been in competition, and he comes out and wins B field right out the box. I mean, come on, man. How about that?
Right.
That's freaking awesome.
Right. And listen to this, Darren. So far in 2022, Funny Car Chaos had a very good classic kicking off there at the Texas Motorplex, but it was hard on the group. There was like 20 cars that broke. It was rough. And we go to State Capitol Raceway, and we only had two fields. We had an A field and a B field, which was the first time in like a couple of years that had been the case for Funny Car Chaos. Well, we get past that, and we start having more cars show up. Dude, Eddyville, over 30 cars. Kearney, right at 30 cars. Mocan coming up Labor Day weekend. It's already the pre-entry is 30 cars, and there's more on the list that very well may come back out, just like Tim Cullen, as you mentioned, and participate once again. Wow. I didn't know there was that many funny cars to come out to an event regularly. So it is awesome to see all of these different type of cars coming out, participating and racing, and seeing the people who win. And they're like, you know what? This thing's set in the garage, and I didn't know what I was going to do with it. I couldn't go NHRA Lucas Oil Racing anymore. It just was out of my budget, but I can come here and race, compete, and win, and that is a cool thing. So, yeah, Darren, we need to build Funny Car. Go Funny Car Chaos Racing. We might be able to win.
Dude, let's do it. Let's do it. But one guy that really catches my attention right now, and I know you talked about him a lot, though, is Wayne Hoffman, son of Al Hoffman. Where did he come from? Out of Connecticut, coming down, winning Seafield last weekend. The China Syndrome, that funny car, that is a beautiful funny car right there. The China Syndrome funny car, paying homage to his father, the great Al Hoffman. I mean, pretty cool. I think he's one to watch next year if he comes on the tour full time. I think you should watch out.
I agree completely. So he showed up at the Classic at the Texas Motorplex, kind of unveils that car, first time ever in Funny Car Chaos competition, and he goes to the semifinals in the Classic. Mm-hmm. We don't see him for a while. I actually see him at a Great Lakes Nostalgia Funny Car Circuit race there at Keystone where I announced, and he's like, yeah, I'm going to be at Chaos. I'm going to do the double. And I'm like, wow, you're coming from Connecticut, and you're going to do Eddyville and Kearney? And then he adds on top, when myself and Dave Ratton, the voice of Chaos, the announcer, we interview him on Chaos Live, he says, hey, if we do good, I might finish out the year at Chaos and chase the points and see how well I do. Mm-hmm. And he goes out there and wins the Seafield, like you said. And then, yes, they go out round one, but I feel like it's a win of what they did at Kearney. You know, these cars aren't big show cars. They're not designed to easily swap a motor. They thrash, dude. Yes. Wayne, his crew, Daniel Butheris, I think Jordan Ballou let tools be borrowed. And you had Chaos people over there trying to help Wayne get ready for round one. And then he drops from heat exhaustion. That is a win in determination to drive a race car. And I like it, man. I like it. Pretty cool to see.
He got some toughness in him, right? Like his daddy. Got some toughness in him. Like, ow.
Yes, you better believe it. You better believe it. So,
hey,
yes.
Oh, no, I was just going to say real quick. So 2 races left in Funny Car Chaos, correct? And Jeff Cameron defeats Kirk Williams in the final round this past weekend. So Jeff Cameron was actually, correct me if I'm wrong, was 0-2 in final rounds against Kirk this season, but finally third time's the charm, finally breaks through and gets that first win in Afield, and now has a very, very slim chance of the championship with just 2 races left to go.
Yes, but when we say slim, it's slim. It's very, yes. Because Kirk Williams has to do things that are uncanny for Kirk Williams and that Williams Brother Racing 200 proof team. Granted, you know, we do live in a world in the alternate universe that we're in of whatever one it is that the run did happen. So you never know what might happen in drag racing, but yes, Kirk Williams has done such an outstanding job, even factoring in the drop race. There is that in Funny Car Chaos competition. Mm-hmm. He basically already has it. There is a slight mathematical chance that Jeff Cameron could come away with this championship, but we are talking about a perfect run to the end and then the greatest fall off in funny car racing history in Kirk Williams for that to happen.
So basically, if Kirk Williams goes out and has a pretty much perfect race at Mocan, he could lock this up at Mocan, basically, before we even get to Dallas. Is that possible?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
Yes, okay. That is certainly possible. Certainly possible. And then I'll have to ask Chris, how do we interview him and refer to him? Do we wait, or we just go ahead and start saying champ, or what do we do? I'll have to get that protocol from him and figure that out. But yes, that's the situation. It's really kind of a race for second at this point, but you never know. You never know. I do know this, though, Darren. I do know this. This weekend, PDRA, they are at the Grove. Man, this event was pretty cool last year. First time PDRA went to Maple Grove was last year. I was there, filmed it. You can see that content on Monday Morning Racer YouTube channel. And I would love to be there even this year, but I'm in Topeka this year. But great action happening in the PDRA always, and what a great venue for them to be at there at Maple Grove. So I am looking forward to the twists and turns, because last year, Darren, Maple Grove produced upsets. We're talking about like Tommy Franklin went out round one, if I remember correctly. Jim Halsey went out round one. Mike Achenbach went on to win, the Mountain Man. There were upsets all over in that race, J.R. Carr comes away with a win and makes a serious argument that I'm not done yet, even though I couldn't get out of my own way at the beginning of the year, but I'm still in a fight for this championship. So Maple Grove was pivotal last year, and I'm expecting the same thing. So if you all are up there in the Northeast and you're in Pennsylvania or you're in Northern Virginia, that's the place to be on the East Coast.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You know who'll be there? Our good buddy, Drag Racing Central, who's in the comments tonight. He'll be there checking it out. We put him on the spot. We said, hey, we need a recap show, a recap video,
right?
A PDRA from him, because he does great work. So we need a video from Drag Race Central. Put him on the spot here on Between the Slicks.
We do need him to get some footage and get some recaps. And like I told him in the private chat, suck it up and go talk to these people. And if we don't see anything from him, if I don't see an interview from him, I don't care if it's just 30 seconds. Just get out of the chat, son. Just get out of the chat. Just get out. Okay.
He's a good kid though. He's passionate about the sport. He's a really good kid. He's really.
Yes.
I love his passion. I love his passion for the sport. He's a really cool dude.
I completely agree. Want to see him create more content. He had a good role going there, and look, it's tough. It's challenging. It's a lot more work than people realize. But DRC, get back at it. So, in some sponsorship news concerning Topeka, Darren, I love this. I get throwback vibes, even though it don't look like necessarily a throwback car. Coletta Air on Doug Coletta's car. I love it. I love it, dude.
Yes, sir. And you got to think too, coming into this, like this is a big race for the Colettas. I mean, you talk about the domination there from Scott Coletta back in the 90s, 6 wins for Scott Coletta there. I'm telling you, I think like, the Coletta boys, J.R. Todd, Sean Langdon, Doug Coletta, they're going into Topeka saying, hey, we need to go in there and put on a show, because this is a pretty much a big time race for us. That's what I think. That's what I believe.
I agree. And look, I think we are at a point. There's no more testing.
No.
You're no more. It's almost no longer holding any cards back except that H that you got. Mm-hmm. You need to start laying things down. You need to start adding it up. You need to start putting your bets out there. And it's time, Coletta boys. We've seen some from Sean Langdon.
Yes. Great
driver. Maybe one of the best technical drivers out there in Top Fuel, honestly. It's arguably, I mean, you could make a case that, there's not the wins and there's not the championships. I mean, I know there's wins and championships, but I'm saying the amount compared to others. But when you look at his driving prowess overall, he may be the best technical one out there. For sure. But seeing some performance from them, we have seen that definitely. We've seen some semifinal and final round appearances from J.R. Todd. Doug, we've seen a slight bump in performance here lately. Slight. It has got to happen now. And I'd love to see it happen in a Coletta Air car. I think, look, I love Mac Tools and that they're on the car and we get all these different partners, but there's just something about a Coletta Air car on a Connie Coletta Top Fuel dragster driven by Doug Coletta. That's just, I love it. I love it.
That is one pretty badass paint scheme right there. Great homage. I mean, like you said, it doesn't look exactly how it looked back in the day, but still, just the fact that it says Coletta Air on the side, yes. I mean, that's really cool. And I hope it does good in competition this weekend. I hope Doug can go some rounds.
I do too. I've definitely got to go swing by there and see whoever I need to sweet talk, and maybe it's Elon Warner, and get some good pictures of that Coletta Air car. I'm hoping somewhere I can go up close and find Bounty Hunter somewhere. I'm hoping they did not miss that. But somewhere on that car, there's Bounty Hunter. So my last bit of news for Drag News, ladies and gentlemen, and we're going to go into the Burndown segment. It's going to be a shorter one, but I think it's going to make sense. Jasmine Salinas is going to have Weld Racing on the car this weekend at Topeka, Kansas, for this national event in a fuel competition. And, Darren, oftentimes we don't see, anything on this car. It says what most of the time?
Scrappers
Racing, and that is it. Well, I think this is good news for drag racing. I think this is good news for Scrappers Racing to find a partner like Weld, who does produce great drag racing wheels, but they do have another staunch competitor out there with ProStar. By the way, the person doing the wheels at ProStar, if I'm getting the actual name correct, maybe Race Star. Anyway, they actually used to design and cut the wheels at Weld. So kind of someone left and some rivalry now and things like that. But anyway, Weld Racing on Jasmine's car. This is why I think it's good. I think most of us know that Mike Salinas could run his Top Fuel car, that A Fuel car, that Pro Stock motorcycle bike. He could probably run a Pro Stock car, his Pro Mod car. He could probably run all the cars, and he'd be okay. And all of them just have scrappers racing on it. The man has done very well for himself. And congratulations to Mike Salinas. You know, anything about his story, he worked his butt off. Yes. And in ways that I think we can't even fathom. So kudos to Mike. But I think overall, even though there are several people like a Mike Salinas, a Bo Butner, a Roger Brogdon, who are very successful business people and can roll that into their drag racing, endeavors, I think it behooves the totality of the sport that these uber successful people still find business and marketing partners. Mm-hmm. Because if you're telling the world I can go out here and do it on my own and I don't need you, then the world doesn't come anyway. Mm-hmm. And I think ultimately that hurts the other teams who are seriously only based on their marketing partners and not other business outlets. And look, we've got the PDRA marketing director coming on here shortly, so we can ask him that question and see his thoughts on it. But my opinion, this burn down segment, even if you got it, go find a partner, even if you're just barely breaking even, or if it just looks like it. Help everyone else out. And I don't care who you are out there, from bracket car to Top Fuel car, Funny Car Chaos to NHRA, PDRA. Find some type of marketing partner. Don't go out there and run a naked car. Have a beautiful car, but find some marketing partner. Maybe you got a great paint job. Give them the back window. I don't care. Do Ricky Bobby and put it on front. Well, it's definitely inconvenient, but hey, do love Fig Newtons, okay? I mean, whatever. Figure it out. But put a marketing partner on your car. It helps the whole sport. The whole sport.
Oh my God. I just had Talladega Night vibes, but no, I 100% agree with you, and it just goes back to well, Mike Salinas, just like you said. I mean, from where he started at, I mean, he's told me his trajectory in life and where he started at as a kid. And don't quote me on this, guys, but I remember him saying he was homeless at one point, and so to see where he is now, the scrappers metal business, and then for these companies to still like. They're partnering with a great team. I mean, like, yes, he can run these cars on his own, but he's bringing on Pleasanton Ready Mix. He's bringing on Pep Boys. He's bringing on Adams Pool. He's bringing on Weld Racing. I mean, these teams want to partner with Mike Salinas in their race cars because they're going out there and winning races, and that's a great organization over there. So great for Mike. It's really cool to see.
Yeah, I asked him when the Pep Boys deal was brought on, had him on an NHRA conference meeting before, I can't remember the race now, but it was media types, and somehow they let me in. And
Gainesville?
No, it was after Gainesville. I can't. Okay. Anyway, I'm asking. I said, Mike, why now? And why are you having marketing partners? We really hadn't seen that out of you. And he said, it just makes sense right now with the economy, with the way things are. And I think there's even a sense with Mike for the betterment of the whole sport. Mm-hmm. Because you see Mike as an individual who's like, hey, I'm going to run a little pro mod. I've got daughters in A Fuel, in Pro Stock Motorcycle, and I'm in Top Fuel. I'm even considering buying a track. That's Mike Salinas. Mm-hmm. And there's no telling what else he might do in and for the sport. So I'm glad we've got Mike along for the ride. He just needs to hurry up and build a funny car now and come run Funny Car Chaos. That's what I need him to do. That's what I need him to do.
Hey, so it'd be funny. You mentioned the track, right? So in Sonoma, I walked up to Mike and I'm like, hey, Mike, because, I'm a big Heritage Series fan. So I was like, hey, Mike, because he raced in the Heritage Series before he went to the big show. I was like, hey, Mike, so you used to run 7.0 Pro in NE1, right? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, and so you're about to buy... we can't say it live on the live here on the show. I was like, you're about to buy this racetrack, right? And he goes, can't talk about it. And that's basically he's like, can't talk about it. I think have to just switch the conversation right then. He's like, can't talk about it. So it's funny that you mentioned that. Mike Salinas has buku money. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, and look, again, in saying all that, congrats to Mike. He worked his butt off, and he is one of the coolest dudes out there. He sees me, he's like, "Hey man, how you doing?" And you know, you can walk up to him and chat. He doesn't act like a man with a bunch of zeros to his credit. He does not, and it's pretty cool. So before we bring Will on, I imagine he's in the green room. I do want to mention, Darren, that in my travels, drag racing and racing is everywhere. So I left Kearney, Nebraska, and I go through Denver and I shoot northward. Well, I go by that circle track that's north of Denver where like even the Craftsman trucks at one time race, you know, way back. I can't remember the name of it. It fails me, but they raced up there at one time and it was a NASCAR West track and, you know, they would run those meets there. It's there. It's up above Denver. And I didn't get past or by Mile High, but I know it's there, Bandamere. But I'm driving along in like Billings, Montana. I'm leaving Billings, Montana. I get up on the plateau. Yellowstone Dragway, 800 feet. Yeah, there's a drag strip all the way on the top of the mountain overlooking Billings, Montana. And I'm driving along a little further, and I see Lewistown drag strip in Montana. And I see at Great Falls, I go by a dirt track, a little bull ring of a dirt track just north of the Missouri River. And then I'm out in Montana again, and they're talking about mud drags. Look, motorsports is everywhere. I say that to say this. Get to your local track. Get to know your local racers. Get involved. And involved, if it's just buying a ticket and getting something at the concession stands, do it. But if you can do more, do that. Because racing is everywhere. And if we want it to continue and move forward, we all need to be involved in whatever way we can be. But, Darren,
yes,
we got a man that is heavily involved in racing coming up next. If you would, hit that Destroyer 1320 commercial for me, and let's get Mr. Will Smith on here.
Let's do it.
If you own a beautiful modern muscle car like this 1320 Challenger, I'm sure you don't want it stolen. Because the Challenger and many other modern vehicles have an easily accessible neutral release strap. That was your coin holder in your center console, and beneath that there's this red cord that someone can pop, put it into neutral, and potentially easily steal your car. But at Destroyer1320.com, they have the TDS, Theft Deterrent System, which is a cover over that strap using factory mounting points so that you don't get popped by a thief. So make sure to go to Destroyer1320.com using promo code MMR for 15% off and get your Theft Deterrent System TDS and steal the thieves' hope.
Will, hey, look, you're in a car like me. Look at that.
Man, I'm sitting at the Philadelphia airport waiting to pick up Scotty Gore, our PDRA announcer. Flight's delayed, so yeah, sitting here in the cell phone light, so I apologize.
Hey, man, you're good. I'm sitting in the parking lot of a TA Express off of I-94 in North Dakota. So it's what happens in the live motion going world we're in. We got to do shows in cars, but it's not racers in rental cars.
Right?
Do what?
Part of the lifestyle, right?
Part of the lifestyle, man. Yeah. Everybody thinks like, oh, you're out here all having fun. No, you're sitting in a car and people are looking at you like, you okay? Like, yeah, I'm good. It's okay. It's okay. So, well, Will, look, you're no stranger to the show. So thank you for coming back on. I'm amazed I ever get return guests. So thank you for that. And what wonderful circumstances that we have you here on the show. I know, for like the first time I ever really kind of got to know you and meet you, and you've expressed that you've had a dream to go top fuel drag racing, and you've got the license process out of the way. So, dude, freaking congratulations.
Thank you so much. That was everybody that witnessed that was a 30-year dream that finally came together. 2 years old, I said that that's what I wanted to do, and it's been a long, hard fought journey. Ton of people have helped me along the way, but it's been a road full of sacrifices, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
All right. So speaking of those sacrifices and the journey, let me pick the mind of the PDRA marketing director, the marketing guru, if you will. Like I said earlier, if you've got it, great, and go run, but try to have a marketing partner. What's your thoughts on that? Like people who have it and they don't even need marketing partners. I mean, that's cool and all. Congratulations, but when you've got an opportunity to bring a marketing partner in, doesn't that make more sense?
Absolutely. And I will never know what that feels like to have so much money and not have to have a partner, but it must be a great problem to have. But no, I heard yours and Darren's remarks about that, and I couldn't agree with you more. It's all about value, and like you had mentioned, there's teams out here that rely solely on funding uh, to to run their team, and then there's others that do it more or less for fun out of their own pocket. I definitely think it is better to have a partner involved with your team. Um, and there's many ways to go about that. Even if it's um, you know product level, even if people have the funding in place, that they can work with some of their suppliers, and promote their products. And it doesn't necessarily have to be, a corporate backed program, but, at least it appears that way to the public.
So this year, I knew something was up because the first time I hear Will Smith doing something in drag racing, he's in the Samsels car, my arch rival in the region who had won the championship like the year before with Mike Booker, and not in the Harada machine, and like one race deal, and you go down there and you win the Baby Gators, which in the Lucas Oil world, I mean, that's a big deal. That's a big win, and you got that done. But I knew something right there was different for you this year. But talk about winning the Baby Gators and the Samsels.
Man, that was huge. Really, the reason that I wasn't running a full season, or what I would consider a full season in Top Alcohol this year, is to pursue trying to get my Top Fuel license and try to put a deal together. So it needed all of my attention, and what little funding I did have out of my own pocket, and I had to put all that towards that, and make that investment. But the Samsels had reached out to me about maybe working together this year, and we were able to put a one race deal together. I actually had went to Belrose with those guys, or met them down there, and crewed on the car while Robin drove. And then we go to Gainesville the next week, and we win the race. And I did sit in the car in Belrose. We had to make sure it fit, and everything properly. But it was just funny because I never got suited up, strapped in the car to make a run until Q1. So that was a storybook weekend. My parents were there. Gainesville Raceway is just very near and dear to my heart. Been going to the Gator Nationals my whole life, which I know this was the Baby Gators, but still it has a lot of meaning for us and me and my family. And it's one of the biggest Lucas Oil Drag Racing Series events on the season in all divisions and regions. So to win that race is very special. It's a great way when you kick off the season with a win. But I helped those guys a couple other races, and they're a great group. They got a fast car. Really enjoyed working with them, and I was very blessed and thankful to have that opportunity, and that they trusted me to drive their car, and it was cool to park it in the winter circle with them.
Yeah, you're no stranger to fast cars, no stranger to winning, and they are the Samsels, no strangers to winning as well. A lot more people have been through that ride than I think they realize. Randy Meyer gets a lot of attention, and it's due to him. But the Samsels have got a lot of wins for a lot of folks too, and then they've moved on either to Randy's or in other programs in drag racing. So you get the win there, but that's not all the driving you've done this year. I saw you were in a pro mod with the Southern Nitrous guys. I can't remember the full acronym, but clue us in about the pro mod.
Yeah, so I've teamed up with just a really good friend back at home, Johnny Riggs. When I worked for Mike Castellana and Shannon Jenkins on their race team and Speed Tech Nitrous, that's how Johnny and I became friends. And he always, bought parts and motors and stuff from us, And anyway, Johnny's a great guy, great friend. And since I wasn't going to be racing every week, or, per se, like with the alcohol deal, I'm back home in Alabama now, and Johnny needed a driver. And I said, well, look, I'm back home now. I said, if I can help you out, I will. And he was like, yeah, I want you to drive my car. So, we went out and tested a couple times with it, put a new motor in it a couple months ago, and finally got to go test it back in June. Car went back to Shannon Jenkins' shop, and Shannon's making a few changes on it, weight distribution and things like that. So looking forward to taking that out to the SNRA race. Probably planning to obviously make the race in Atmore the week after Indy. So I'm looking forward to getting back in that car. But I love drag racing. It doesn't matter what it is. I mean, a lot of people don't know I even went to George Bryce and Frank Hawley's Pro Stock Motorcycle School about, I guess it's about 8 years ago now. And there was a time at which I had pursued that. People was like, man, you got the right build for it, and I used to be a little lighter back then, but anyway, I just love drag racing, and I've always wanted to make a career out of it. And hey, if it's got wheels on it, I'll try it. I'll drive it,
All right, A. Fueler, pro mod, even experimenting with the bike. Yes, we were all lighter at one time. It's okay. But you are now a licensed NHRA top fuel driver. And you did it in a Larry Dixon car.
Pretty
so
cool.
How? Yeah, it's cool, but how? How?
So a lot of people that really know me, I mean, when I started in the industry, got involved at this level, like just getting my foot in the door and working for a team, and that was Steve Johnson, Pro Stock Motorcycle rider. And Steve and I have been great friends, still are. He's what led me into marketing. And of course, anyone that really knows Steve and Larry, they know they're best friends. And I met Larry years ago, and we hit it off and became friends. And we were both involved with the Alanabi team, and of course his with the fuel program, mine with the pro mod deal. But it's just over the years our friendship has grown a lot closer, and he knew what my ultimate goal was, and still is, but to get licensed, drive a car, get licensed, and do my best to get in with the team and try to make a career out of it. So we felt like it was the right thing to do it together. And we spent some time together a few years ago, and when I knew kind of, what Larry's story was, but don't know all the details, and whatnot. And finally one night we sat down and had dinner, and he shared his story and I shared mine. And I'll be honest with you, I got chills when he, told me his story, and I'm pretty sure it caught his attention when I told him mine, at how similar they were, and I mean, it like, it was crazy how some things were just exactly the same. And that I think drew us a lot closer in that regard, and really felt like we should do this together. And it really hit me, when we get ready to make the first run last week, and I look out front and Larry's standing out there, and I'm strapped in, and I realize that I'm in his car, and I'm like, I'm really about to do this, and I've got a 3-time world champ who, trusts me enough to drive his car and is willing to teach me, in my opinion, Larry Dixon's one of the best top fuel drivers there's ever been, and will ever be, in my opinion. So the fact that he's just, was willing to do that, and really wants to help jumpstart my career, or build upon it at that level, means more to me than anything. I mean, it is just great. And I think it did surprise a lot of people that when I came out and did it, to do it, it just worked out with Larry, and that was the first time he's ever had anybody drive his car. So that was, other than himself. And that was I don't want to say it. I guess it was, added pressure, but I mean, I don't, it didn't bother me, but I'm just saying it's like, wow,
Right. And, he's had that thing for a while. A lot of folks now are familiar with the 2-seater, but he's had that 1-seater for a while. He does match racing every now in it. I don't think it's been out since probably COVID. Maybe it has, but I don't recall it being out any other time. But it's brought out. You get your license in it. Look, I've had Mike Booker on, and when he got his license, I've had Krista Baldwin on when she got her license. Both A fuel drivers. You've been in A fuel, and their remarks are, it is still completely different. So can you put us into the cockpit, and for your first time of feeling the sensation, and compare and juxtapose A fuel to Top Fuel?
Yeah. So like going up for the first run, in my mind, it's like the fear of the unknown. Like you got all these things running through your head. Like, what's the launch going to be like? How aggressive is it? Is it going to accelerate, once the car moves, as the clutch starts coming in, all these things are running through my head. And Larry told me, he says, hey, it's going to launch about the same as the fuel car. And it's just going to accelerate, it's going to keep pulling. And, and then other people everybody's got their own way of describing it, 100% different. I mean, it's a different feel. I mean, that car is moving so fast, and it's so awesome. But I will tell you, after the first run, when they come down there and pick me up, Larry's like, what do you think? And I'm like, man, it like launches just like the fuel car. And he's like, I told you. Like, I mean, it is quicker, don't get me wrong, but to me, it wasn't a world of difference. But now 150 feet or so, okay, it's like, let's party. Here we go. And then it don't stop.
Yeah, it'd be amazing if they could, if we could like put them on the salt of Bonneville or something and everything work out, and there was unlimited room to run and it could all hang together for a mile. What could be done? I don't know. It'd be fascinating because they don't stop accelerating. It is insane.
Yeah. So the third run, he wanted me to click it at the 1,000-foot, mile an hour block. Just, he wanted me to know where I was at on the track. And in the fuel car, I felt like that was something I got pretty good at, because, it slows down enough in your mind. You do it so much and you get really used to it. And it's like a Sunday drive, and by that third run, I felt like I had a grasp on, clicking it exactly where I needed to be. And I was a little late on it, but the mile an hour was down a little bit. So, I wasn't right there, but I was pretty dang close. And when I got out of the car, I told him, I'm like, I swear I got out of it right there at the mile an hour mark, but you're moving so fast that it just, I mean, he can be perfect at it because he's been doing it for so many years, a 3-time world champ. And like he told me, he was like, bro, it's run 3. Like it's not going to be perfect. But, and I tried to prepare myself the best I could. I asked him a lot of questions and, just going over things because, I'm not perfect. None of us are perfect. But in racing, I mean, I strive to be the best I can, you know, and I wanted to make this transition as seamless as possible. And I was pleased with how things went, you know, and I know what I've got to, you know, work on and get better at. And but it was an experience like none other. And I know I've sat here and rambled on about it, but I to describe it is basically indescribable almost. I mean, you just have to do it.
All right, Will, you talked about added pressure being in Larry Dixon's Top Fuel dragster, but you were doing all this in front of a crowd. It wasn't like a typical licensing session. Most people, it's like nobody's there. It's like a test session, and nobody sees screw ups, and nobody sees the like poor old Hunter Green, Chad Green's son. I'm there filming at the Texas Motorplex. I didn't realize it was him in the car, his first run ever in a Top Fuel dragster, and he's backing the thing up. And you know as well as I do, in a dragster, if you go too far over center, they just fold. And that happened to him. And I was there. I got it on camera. It's on YouTube. Poor guy. We talked about it later. He did laugh about it. But anyway, you were doing it in front of a big crowd at US 131, you know, Raceway Motorsports Park. And what was going on? What was the event? And were you like, gosh, I hope I really don't screw up in front of all these people?
You know, that thought come across my mind, not going to lie, once or twice. But at the end of the day, you have to turn that off. I mean, I feel like I've learned to do that over the years. When you're so focused in on the task at hand and what you have to do, can't afford to make any mistakes. Like literally, like financially and time wise and parts wise, like it in my mind, and it, you know, we had 3 runs to do, and they had to be good, you know, to get this done. But the Northern Nationals, you know, is the event they put on there. They had a great show, great crowd. I mean, a huge crowd there. It was an awesome nitro show, and it was cool to be a part of it. And I appreciate Jason and everyone at US 131 for allowing us to, you know, license there, and you know, be a part of that show. And it was cool to do it in front of a crowd. Not going to lie, when I got there, there was a time at which I thought, I'm like, you know, I wish this was a private deal. But at the end of the day, it's like, you know what? Hey, your plan is to go out there and race and be in front of a crowd. Why not get used to it now? You know, so that was just kind of my mentality there of, hey, you know, like I said, when I've been fortunate to race a long time and been in a lot of high pressure situations. And to me, it was just another run. And I don't mean that to sound like cocky or too confident, but I felt comfortable enough where it's just, to me, it was an A fuel car on steroids, you know. And some people may disagree with me, but that was my thoughts from it, you know. And they're definitely no joke.
Well, Larry Dixon, the crowd, US 131, Al Tucci on the mic. That's a pretty good day, getting all of that and licensing.
Let me tell you, Al Tucci is one of my greatest friends. Love the guy to death. We have been friends for years, dating back to, you know, when I was working on Pro Mods and Al and I being Speed Tech. And Al has always been in my corner and always been a huge supporter of mine. He's always been there to lift me up and give me advice and encourage me. And a couple of weeks ago, Tucci texted me and said, hey, when and where are you doing your license? And I said, well, we're going to do it at 131 August 6th. And he says, oh, cool. He says, well, they reached out to me about doing the race. And I was like, are you serious? Like, wow. And we both agreed, like, man, this is, you know, the good Lord above just putting all this together, you know, because Al knows what this means to me. And if anybody read his post over the weekend that almost brought me to tears, you know, seeing what it meant to him. He was there when I got my top alcohol license in Indy during the PDRA race. And that was really special, you know, and he's believed in me, and he's always told me, you know, that he believed I could do this, and he really appreciated Larry giving me the opportunity to accomplish this dream, and show that I could drive a car, and it was just it was so great to have Tucci there. And then Mark Teague, one of my marketing partners at Tico, he was there. He had the idea to go to the tower and video Tucci calling the run for the second run, which was my first full pass. And anyway, we went 394, 313. We get back to the pits, and we was all talking about it, and everybody was, oh, congratulations, and everything. And then somebody says, hey, it was my sister. She says, hey, you need to see this video that Mark got at Tucci. I'm like, well, how do you do that? And then they showed me, and I'm like, wow, that meant a lot to me. And I know it did Tucci, and the excitement and emotion in his voice just was awesome. And that video got like 10,000 views. A lot of people shared it. It's just really cool, and I'm just like, this is probably one of the most largely promoted licensing opportunities that anybody's ever done. Like there was a crowd there. There's a ton of people. I had some sponsors. I had family. I had friends come to the it was out there. So there was no hiding anything. So any mistakes that were made were going to be known to everybody. So
no, it was a cool deal, man. And look, if I did not have Funny Car Chaos, I would have been at US 131 filming that thing. That was cool because you represent a story that drag racing has had and still needs. Someone that doesn't come from a bunch, but yet making their way to live out a dream. Drag racing has been about that.
Drag racing's always been about that. And there's been people that ask, I hear people say, what's it going to take, to grow drag racing more or whatever, and I'm like, well, I think we got to go back and see what brought us into drag racing, what attracted us. It comes up to how do we attract the younger crowds and this and that. Well, and I sat at home one day and I was thinking about this, and I'm like, well, what really brought me into it? Obviously, my dad was a drag racer and loved the sport, and I was born into it. But what you just said, like that great American story, that great American dream, I mean, a lot of drag racers have that. Majority do, and it's the rough and tough, and the drag racers, from back in the day that built the sport into what it is. The guys that they worked a normal job and they get off and they're working on their car, and then they hit the road and travel wherever, to race. And then the guys that were able to make a living with it, during the weeks are match racing, and then they're going to the national events, and they worked on their cars. They just did everything. Drove their truck and trailers. And I, growing up, I looked at all these pro racers because I eat, sleep, and breathe drag racing, and I'm so blessed to be in the sport. Working for PDRA and doing all the things I've done to do it for a living, to be in the sport that I love most. But to see, I wanted to be the guy that those guys were. I want to try, do my part and do the best I can to carry on that persona of what I feel, a drag racer is, and not everybody are like that, and that's fine. But that was the only way I could do it. I looked at these people coming up in drag racing, and I'm like, well, they're doing it. How can I get to the next level? There's got to be a way for it. And I mean, I started pushing a broom around at Steve Johnson's shop when I was 14 years old, and the guy taught me so much and introduced me to a lot of people, and that's the reason I got into marketing. But I knew for me to go drag racing, hard work, passion, dedication, and sacrifices was the only way I had a chance at it, and that wasn't no guarantee. But I'm out to prove that it can still be done. you know, the hard way, that way, because I don't come from money. I love my parents to death, and they've been in my corner from day one, and they've done so much to help me get to where I'm at. But we weren't rich, so I just had to hustle, and I've worked for a lot of teams and tried to get to know as many people as possible. And that's what's led it up, to here. My deal with Erratas, I was so blessed and thankful to have the opportunity to drive for Dave and Kenny and Chio Hirata and to be a part of their famed team. And, a lot of people know, but a lot don't, that, I would leave my home in Alabama in January or February, and I'd go up to Indiana, and I'd sleep on Dave's couch for 8 months out of the year till end of October, and then it was time to go back home for the winter and get to cracking on PDRA sponsorship stuff, and prior to that too, obviously. But my point is, like, it's a lot of people wouldn't want to sleep on a couch for 8-9 months out of the year and spend all their money doing it, but I did it with a smile on my face and loved every bit of it, because that's the kind of story that, that's my story, and I'm proud of it, and I like to share that. And I feel like, a lot of people come to me and they'll say, hey, your story is so impressive, so encouraging, whatever the word is. And it means a lot to me. And that's just the type of racer who I want to be, and that's the only way I can do it. So I just try to work as hard as I can and surround myself with good people. And I've had so many wonderful people, race teams, owners, obviously Steve Johnson, Larry Dixon, Shannon Jenkins, Mike Castellana, the Franklin family here at PDRA, and all of my marketing partners. There's been so many people that have contributed to my story, and it has helped build it. And I want to do exactly what Larry is doing with me, or has done with me by getting my license. He told me he hoped he could pass that along, pass that down and help teach, a kid like myself coming up. He told me that a few years ago, and I said, that's so ironic, because that's what I want to do. Hopefully I can be in a position, close, to Larry, in that direction of, or being a fuel driver. And I want to give that back one day, because there's a lot of talented people out there, talented youngsters out there that, may not have the opportunities, but they got the passion and the dedication. And that's what means most to me.
So Darren has a question for you. Darren, just come on camera. You don't have to put it in the comments section. It's okay, dude. Okay, Darren, Will Smith, Darren, American Hot Rod Entertainment. Shoot away, Darren.
All right, first up, what's up, Will?
What's up, Darren? How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good, man. I had a quick question real quick.
Yeah.
So you mentioned in the beginning of the interview, you said that you and Larry Dixon's, career paths were kind of identical. Can you kind of elaborate on that a little bit, and how similar were they?
Yeah, so a couple of things that really kind of stood out to me. Obviously, he crewed for Snake for years, and obviously he wanted to drive, and he got the chance to drive John Mitchell's Montana Express, the alcohol car, and he drove the blown car and the injected car, and which he had that experience I didn't have, but it was just a story of just sacrifice and hard work. And coming up through the ranks like that. But something that stood out to me, we were having dinner at his house one night, and this was at the end of 2018, so my first year of running Top Alcohol. And when we were talking about this, and he had mentioned, I think he said he ran like 8 or 9 races or whatever that year. And it was so ironic, because that's like, I think we raced 7 or 8, something like that. And he's like, I only won 1 round all year. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. That's exactly what happened to me this year, and it was just funny, because like he was telling me, like, financially how he had to do it. And he had moved out to, out west to do what I was doing, to work on the car and put the motors together and do everything. So it was just really cool that, I'm like, wow, this is very similar, and I had a great tenure there with the Hiratas, and we won a race together in 2020, and it was just a great experience. But it was just cool that hearing that type of stuff that was similar.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome.
So we've talked about the past. We've talked about the recent past and licensing and earning that. The next logical question is the future. So
Yep.
What kind of plans do we got out there, Mr. Smith?
Well, with funding, we're definitely trying to get out on track to run some races. My goal is to try to get a race or two in by the end of this season, have something to build on for 2023, to do more events. Larry and I are just alike in the sense that we're one-step kind of guys. It's first step, get a license. Second step, this, and just work our way down the list. But yeah, we're ideally, if I can secure enough funding, we're gonna hopefully run Indy. That's our goal. We'll see if that happens, but we definitely would like to be on track, once or twice before the end of the season, and have something to build on for next year.
And to clarify, I mean, is that in Larry's car in competition, or anyone else's that you might be talking to, or are other options on the table car wise?
I've had people reach out to me. It's been talked about. Different opportunities, but Larry and I definitely we want to do something together. That's our goal. So if we can pull that off, that's what we want to do. Larry, like I said, I've said it time and time after again, we're really good friends, but I saw this was the first time of us working together. I'm student, he's teacher, and I think our chemistry was very very good last weekend. So I think it would be a great deal if we can put something together for sure.
Well, Will, man, look, congratulations once again. Thank you for coming on the show and allowing me to continue my streak of, if you license, you got to come on this show. I've got a pretty good streak going, and forcing all the higher ups in the media world come get their cliff notes from Monday Morning Racer and Between the Slicks. So I appreciate it. My last question for you: your picks, Pro Nitrous, Pro Boost, and Extreme Pro Stock Maple Grove Northern Nationals for the Professional Drag Racers Association.
Oh, don't put me on the spot like that now.
Oh, you are.
Man, so let's start with Pro Stock. Let's start there and go back. That we've seen some. That's a class where anybody can come out on top. JR Carr definitely, I think, has between him and Morton, performance wise, I think they're at the top. It's hard to say. Tony Gillig, Johnny Placino, they got a quick left foot, so there's 4 cars right there. This weekend, I don't know. I'm gonna have to go with my boy JR Carr. I think
okay.
I think they're on a mission this year to get the championship, and like I said, they got a great program over there with Frank and their guys. So I'm gonna have to go with JR this weekend.
Okay, JR Carr.
Pro Boost. That's another tough one.
Yeah, that's no fun right now. That class is just stupid competitive.
Yeah, I hope I don't get hung tonight over any of this, get any bad words later on who I pick. But I tell you, the Pro Charge car, Randy Weatherford had a great show in there at Pro Stars. I thought his interview was awesome at the end. He's a diehard PDRA supporter. He's, the Pro Charge car is running great. Melanie Salemi, Todd Tutterow, they're battling it out every week. But I'm going to tell you, I got to go with King Tut. That guy, he's a legend, man. And he's, he can, he's as quick with his finger letting go of the button as he is on track. And I think I got to go with Todd Tutterow on that one.
Okay. Okay.
Pro Nitrous. You mentioned earlier when you guys were talking about it before I came on of last year, how the upsets we had.
Nutty.
I know that this race last year was probably my favorite race of the year, just because, I mean, not against anyone. It was cool just how it all worked out.
Yep.
First time winner with Mike Achenbach and, Burnley getting in the finals. Pro Nitrous is very tight right now. Jim Halsey, Tommy Franklin, and Jay Cox, everybody's running tight there. Chris Reaney, come off a win a few races ago.
Right.
That's a tough one. This is one. It's like, man, I think it's going to come down to two. I think you'll either see Tommy Franklin or Jim Halsey take the 660 man home from this event. But I think Tommy Franklin's hungry. I know he is. I know he's coming back after his little accident he had. I'm going to have to go with Tommy on this one. I think
Okay.
I think he's really, but you never count Jim Halsey out. I mean, he's
Right,
always at the top,
yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm going to call that one a tie. It's going to be one or the two, but both great guys, great competitors with great programs, and they'll go fast, rest assured.
Well, Will, cannot wait to see you enter in the top fuel ranks at NHRA National event, attempt to qualify, make the race and do well. I'm looking forward to seeing it. And you keep up the good work at the PDRA. Hey, tell Scotty, tell the folks there at Maple Grove I said hello with me not being there. And by the way, man, don't forget about this little event called Nitro Chaos in 2023 when it comes to burning nitro. Just remember that.
Hey, I promise I'm going to make it out next year, because my best friend, Brian Inaway, driving the Frantic Fueler.
Yep.
I was supposed to come out to Eddyville, and I wasn't able to, but I know he ended up winning out there, and he had so many great things to say about the event, and I definitely want to come out and see him do well, and obviously got a lot of friends out there, so I definitely will be there next year for sure.
Cool deal. Well, Will, good chatting with you, and have a good rest of your evening, and I hope the plane does land soon.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity to be on. It's always a pleasure to talk with you, buddy.
Thank you, Will. Appreciate it. Darren, hit that Power Built commercial.
Power Built Tools exemplifies innovation in the tool industry. From hand tools, power tools, and even tool storage. Check out powerbuilt.com for Power Built Tools. And remember, use promo code MMR15 for 15% off at purchase.
All right, Darren. Look, great conversation with Will. Again,
Yes.
Doing it the hard way, but getting it done. Classic American dream story. Even if he is from Alabama, God bless his heart. But no, he's an Alabama boy, and Will's a good guy. He's a cool guy too. And if you get to hang out with the Haradas, you're just cool anyway. I can tell you right now. My picks: PDRA. I'm going to start from the back too. Extreme Pro Stock. Elijah Morton. Morton has been chomping at the bit. He's got the performance. He's got to get it done. I believe he's going to get it done this weekend. Pro Boost. I am going to go with, at one time, my kind of neighbor up there in upstate New York got already a race in before going to Maple Grove, so maybe some momentum rolling in. That's Melanie Salemi, which she's had a top performing car all year. And then in Pro Nitrous, I'm going to go with the man that's in the comments section, Wes DiStefano. He is going to get it done there at Maple Grove. I'd love to see that. I know he's been kind of having some struggles in Pro Nitrous stepping up. I'm not sure why. I really ain't got to talk to you, Wes, but I need to do that, make a phone call or chat over Messenger and just see what's up. But I'm going to go with Wes DiStefano. There's a lot of upsets last year, and I think that is going to happen again. Drag Racing Central says Jason Harris, Johnny Camp, J.R. Carr, Lexi Tanner, throwing in the Pro Outlaw 632 pick as well. With there, I'm going to go Darryl Stewart in Pro Outlaw 632. But look, Maple Grove last year produced a lot of upsets, and I'm expecting the same thing because I think that track is so good. Not that we don't go to good tracks in the PDRA, but it's so good there in the air, and it's just different. I think there might have been a lot of jitters maybe last year being there for the first time. People blew stuff up. People burnt stuff up. I don't know how Mike Achenbach won that thing with all that he went through. Like, he literally wrecked a thing and came back and went out there and won it. So, I mean, maybe we should even throw him in really as the pick to win and defend the title there. And he's the homeboy out of Pennsylvania, but it's going to be a throwdown there at the Grove. Your picks, Darren.
All right, let's do it. So
I know it's tough for a West Coast guy, but
I got you. No, I got you right here. So for Extreme Pro Stock, I'm gonna agree with you on Elijah Morton. I'm gonna go with that right there. Extreme Pro Stock. Pro Boost, I'm going King Tut. I'm gonna have to agree with Will Smith on that. I'm going King Tut. And then for Pro Nitrous, go Jim Halsey. Let's go Jim Halsey. There goes my picks right there. I'm gonna go Jim Halsey. There we go. There goes my picks right there. You like him? No? Yes?
I like him. I like him. But see, Jim is the safe choice because he's just a threat every week in. Okay. Every race he shows up, he is a threat. The man can get it done week in and week out. It's always a shock when he loses. It always is because you just expect that man to win. I've reserved myself. I will not. I solemnly swear, pick Jim Halsey. I must pick somebody else.
Okay, I was originally gonna pick Tommy Franklin, but like you said, yes, Jim Halsey was.
Well, that's almost the same thing.
Here's the thing though. So, like you said, you mentioned I'm from the West Coast, right? So obviously, being from the West Coast, I was always more NHRA, not IHRA, right?
Yeah.
And so I was going through. There was the Pro Mod shootout from Atlanta, like 94, 95. And seeing Jim Halsey in that Castro GTX Corvette, I thought that was super cool. I was like, wow, that's awesome. That's pretty cool. I love that. Hey,
you go back far enough, you can find it's like IHRA Northern Nationals or something at even Empire. They're outside of Rochester or south of Rochester at Leicester. And Jim Halsey is in an old Mike Ashley Beretta.
There you go.
Yeah. Jim's been doing it for a while. He has been doing it for a while. He can get it done a lot with that. Jim as a driver and the determination he has, along with Brandon Switzer. Bad combination. Just bad to the bone. Daddy Shark going to take a bite out of the competition. Does so necessarily almost every doggone weekend. So a lot of great drag racing going to be happening there at the PDRA. So, man, very quickly, since I got you on, we got a little bouncing back and forth. Your picks for Topeka.
All right. So, Sam put me on the spot for Power Hour on Tuesday. I think I'm going to change my picks here this weekend. So,
did Sam actually pick people, or did he do the final thing again?
I believe he actually picked. I think he actually picked. Yeah, he picked. He actually picked. Yes. And I'm actually going to change my picks up. So for Pro Stock Motorcycle, I'm gonna go with Steve Johnson. I think Steve Johnson needs a win. Start off the year hot, but it's kind of fallen off a little bit. They still have the performance because they showed that in Sonoma. I think Steve Johnson needs a win. Even though it's gonna be hot this weekend in Topeka. Topeka is not a very sensitive, temperature sensitive racetrack. You can still make good runs even when it's hot in Topeka. So I'm going with Steve Johnson there. For Pro Stock, I mean, honestly, Erica Enders. I think she continues. I think she continues to roll. I got Erica Enders. Nitro Funny Car. And I'm not just doing it because it's my guy. I got to do it. But John the Brute Force, I think he goes back to back at Topeka. I think he does it.
Okay.
I'm going to go with John Forrest. And then, so originally on Tuesday, I picked Brittany Forrest because, like I said, before I looked at the weather, I'm thinking Topeka is going to be good conditions. She's been killing it. And not saying she can't run the heat because David Grubnick and Max Savage have shown they can run the heat, but I'm going to go with Steve Torrance. I think he breaks through and gets his first win of the year at Top Fuel Eliminator. I'm going with Steve Torrance at Top Fuel. So Steve Torrance, John Forrest, Eric Enders, and Steve Johnson. My picks for Topeka.
All right, those are strong. I like those picks. I will go Steve Torrance as well. I think I'm going to pick Steve Torrance until he wins because the man will win. If we go through 2022 and he doesn't win, we were all fooled this year, some way, shape, form, and fashion. And I still believe he's going to actually be the one who hoists the championship trophy at the end of the year. That team is not done. I think they are a sleeping giant, or maybe at this point, a sleeping troll for the whole entire Top Fuel field, because I believe they want to just flip it on what they think of the countdown, because we know the Torrances do not like the countdown. Well, I think they're going to use it to their advantage this year instead of just slobber knocking everybody. Steve Torrance does pick up a win to silence the critics out there in the drag racing world, and just to remind all the Top Fuel competitors, hey, the champ is still here. In Funny Car, I think this is a Tim Wilkerson type of race coming up.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with Tim Wilk. Wilk. I think Tim Wilk will get it done. If I can give a option B, it is my show. I'll do it if I want to. I will throw out Ron Capps going into his 600th start. Ron is a history guy. I just think stuff like that lines up, and I think Ron kind of gets up on the wheel for moments like this. And I could see Guido and Ron Capps getting the job done on his 600th start in it being Topeka. For Pro Stock, look, man, I agree. Erica, I don't want to go Erica just because I just want to pick someone else, but it's hard not to go with Erica. She's been so dominant this year, except when she isn't. It's a round one loss, which I do think is fascinating. But granted, the myriad of wins already this season, I am going to go with Dallas Glenn. Recent announcement that Rad Torx is going to be on the car for the future, not just next year, but I believe even into 2024. I think they want to come out and show some appreciation back to the company with a win in Topeka, Kansas, and Karen Stouffer in bikes.
I like it. Karen Stouffer needs a win too. She's been struggling the past couple races. I like that pick. And if we're being real, like Drag Racing Central said it in his comments, like we're talking about 95, 100 degree weather. I mean, well, no better guy to pick than Sean Langdon. I mean, he's running in the heat great this year. Sean Langdon has made great runs in the heat this year. And then J.R. Todd and Funny Car. I mean, that team always runs great in the heat. So, I mean, I picked John Force and Steve Torrance, but let's watch out for a Sean Langdon. Let's watch out for a J.R. Todd. Even with John Collins and Cruz Petragon, they run great in the heat too. So, Cruz can come up and score his first win of this season. So
I could see Cruz doing that. And honestly, I picked Cruz to win the championship this year, and I'm surprised.
They're sandbagging.
They must be. Look, when I get to Topeka, I'm finding Ryan Elliott, and I'm like, dude, what's up, bro? Talk to me, bro. What is going on? Caleb, come over here, man. Let's talk. What is happening? I picked y'all to win the championship. I need some wins. I need more street cred. Come on, please.
They're sandbagging. That John Collins is too good of a crew chief to be performing the way they are right now. And like I said, I haven't followed that team that closely this year. But I think as soon as, just like with Steve Torrance, I think once we get to the U.S. Nationals, that switch is going to flip for Cruz Petragon, and they're going to start going out winning rounds and winning races. I think so. That has to be it.
I really feel like, and I agree with you, this year we're going to see more people. They're like, hey, you want to go out and win 10 races in the regular season? Have at it. We'll see you in the countdown. I believe a lot of that is happening right now.
So that makes me ask then, do you think Robert has peaked too early? Because he said himself, it's going to take at least 3 more wins to win this championship. That means
I don't think so. I think that team is different, and here's why. I think Robert and that team, I imagine they have the psyche right now that we're catching up on 2021. We haven't even touched 2022 yet because they were so inconsistent in 2021. And earlier in the year, with these wins when they were first rolling, he was talking about we went away from what worked and it kept us consistent, and now we've gone back to it. And they've also found something else, whatever it is, with that consistency. I think they're just doing some making up. They hadn't even touched 2022 yet. I don't think that they've peaked too soon. And it's very possible that they just peak with a championship. I mean, they have separated themselves, in my opinion, from the rest of the competition. Matt Hagan has went into a slump here recently. It's fine. It's great. Countdown's coming. Ron Capps is there, but does not have the number of wins compared to Hagan and compared, obviously, to Height. Countdown's coming, but the countdown is coming for everyone else. And the one that has been consistent thus far from beginning and into the heat has been Robert Height.
Oh, for sure. And he even said in Seattle, we didn't even have a hot racetrack car just recently, but I mean, we've been running good in the heat lately. And so here goes a quick stat for you guys. So the last driver, Robert Height, 6 wins this season, ties the career high for wins in a single season with 6. The last driver to win more than 6 races in a season for Funny Car, you have to go back to 2017, Ron Capps. But here's the actual stat, though. The last driver to win a championship, to win more than 6 races in a season, we have to go back to 2003, Tony Petragon. That's the last time any driver has won a championship with more than 6 wins in a single season. That is phenomenal. That's almost 20 years ago. Almost 20 years ago. Yes. To win a championship with more than 6 wins. Tony Petragon, 2003.
Hey, you might want to send that one to Tony. He can use it in the broadcast.
I'll do that.
Well, Darren, look, man, thank you for your help once again. I appreciate it. It's definitely helps me being on the road. I think we've had another good between the slicks here, and I need to get on down the road, brother, because I need to make another like 2.5, 3 hours and then sleep and hit Topeka in the afternoon tomorrow and get ready for the what is it, Menards Heartland Nationals, something like that. Yeah,
something like that. Yeah, just keep it the Heartland Nationals.
Heartland Nationals. Yeah,
Heartland Nationals. Yeah.
Hey, be my first time at Topeka too. I'm looking forward to it, marking another track off the list. So that's cool.
Yeah, you get to see that cool tower on the starting line. I always love, I love my tower, so I want to see that tower in person. I'm
looking forward to going, obviously, in the tower, but I'm looking forward to going in the stands and like really grasping how far these things are from the track, because they look so incredibly far on TV. Like, is that just a trick, or is it even worse in person?
I've heard that Topeka is actually far, but it's kind of like the same thing with Sonoma. So Sonoma, it looks far on TV as well, but when we actually get there in person, it's actually not that far. It's not the closest like Pomona, but Sonoma, it's not that far away. It's a pretty good distance between the track and the stands.
Cool. Well, buddy, thank you once again, folks. You need to follow Darren Williams Jr. at American Hot Rod Entertainment on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Catch his live recap of the national event upcoming. Be Sunday, I imagine. What time, Darren?
6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern time. American Hot
Boom,
Rod.
there you go, guys. Right there. Hit that subscribe button for him. Hit that bell button. You'll get that notification. Hit the subscribe button right here on Monday Morning Racer. Hit the bell button as well, and be right back here Thursday, 8 p.m. Is it next Thursday, the 18th, Darren?
What's today's date? The 11th? Yeah, so next week will be the 18th.
Okay. So that should mean that next week's guest, I actually already know. Imagine, wow, it never happens, it seems like. But we should have Miss Ida Zetterstrom on.
There you go. First top fuel driver into the 370s over there on that side of the country, correct? First top fuel driver.
Yes. She is fast. She is quick. Has done it on bikes. Now doing it in top fuel. I mean, you can't get no better than an attractive Finn that's a blonde that can do it on motorcycles and in a top fuel dragster. You can't get better than that.
There you go. Looking forward to that show next week. Looking forward to it.
Darren, thank you, man. To all of you out there watching, thank you for watching. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and come back right here and enjoy Between the Slicks with yours truly, the Monday Morning Racer, and occasionally that dude, Darren Williams Jr., and whoever else we might have talking about it all in drag racing right here on what I believe is the most diverse drag racing talk show there is. Until next time, God bless and keep the pedal to the metal.